Hello, we're going to be talking about participial adjectives, which is a really fancy term for using verbs as adjectives. So remember, a verb is an action word like run, walk, all kinds of actions, even things like think or contemplate are verbs because they're actions. And then an adjective is a descriptive word. So adjectives have a broad range. Blue as a color is an adjective. But verbs can also be used as adjectives. And so we're going to talk about how that's done today. This is actually something that you do quite a lot. And you might be surprised to realize that you've been doing this all the time. We use verbs as adjectives when we say, for example, I am bored. That word bored is actually the verb bore, like to bore. But we turn it into an adjective when we use it in the past participle form, and we do that so naturally that we don't even realize that we're doing it. So let's take a look at some more of these. You can actually do this in two different ways. So we're going to join our friends over at the University of Victoria. And according to them, participial adjectives can be in two forms. So it says most present and past participle forms of verbs that describe emotions or feelings can be used as adjectives, but the meanings of the participles are not the same. So then they give this example. It says a fresh ocean breeze on a hot summer day is refreshing, so I feel refreshed. The present participle, which is their term for what we call the ing form of the verb. Remember, that's what we used when we were forming the present progressive. I was walking, you are listening, that present progressive with the ing at the end of the verb. That's what they're calling the present participle, and it refers to something or somebody that causes the feeling. So for example, the breeze is refreshing. So the breeze is causing the feeling, so we're using the present participle. Once again, this is something that you do all the time, but you don't even realize that you're doing it. And really quick, this is not something that I think you're going to have trouble using. Like I said, you do it pretty naturally when you speak, and so you'll be able to do it pretty naturally when you write. The main application I want you to get out of this is that words that end in ing and ed, even if they're not being used as verbs, are verbs. And so you can recognize the word even when it's being used as an adjective, and then you can realize what word it is, what verb it is, and then reform it in all sorts of different ways. So let's say you didn't know what refreshing means. You can think, well, it has an ing on the end. You know, it must actually be a verb, and that's the verb refresh. And that could help identify words, and it also helps you to see how you could use it in different ways. So the breeze is refreshing. You could use that verb refresh in different ways, like the breeze refreshes me. So just learning how to play with verbs and to identify these different things. I actually think it's really fun. That's why I'm geeking out a little bit. So the past participle or ed form of the verb is another way to use the verb, and it is used to express how a person is affected by something. So for example, I feel refreshed. So now we have that past participle ending with an ed, or remember, some past participles are irregular. Now let's look at some examples that they give us. There's astonish. In the present participle is astonishing, like those facts are astonishing, is an example of that. Or astonished. When I heard them, I was astonished. There's another example. And so you'll notice that a lot of times we use the verb to be. So what we're doing is we're doing subject, the verb be, and then the past participle to state that there's a state of being going on. So for example, we were bored, or we can get more fancy. We could say like, I am aggravated. So let's take that word aggravate. We can recognize, oh, aggravated, that ends with an ed. that must be a verb. That's probably the past participle because of the way it's used. And now I can notice that aggravate is a verb. And I can use it in all the ways that verbs can be used. Other examples, we were excited, we were interested. And actually, you don't even need to use the subject be past participle form. You can also just, I love this example, it says abandoned, he didn't know what to do. Abandon, to abandon is a verb, but when you have it in the past participle form, you can use it as an adjective, and it's just kind of introducing the state of being of this person before it even describes what's going on. So abandoned, he didn't know what to do. That's it for now, and you might feel bored, but I think this is exciting stuff.